Teen Minds Redefined. You're listening to the podcast with Cheryl Pankhurst.
Welcome to another episode of Teen Minds Redefined, where we strive to redefine the parent-teacher relationship with support, compassion, and guidance to allow our teenagers to become their unique best selves. Now, I would love it if you shared this episode and any other episode with a teen in your world, just to get their perspective. This is always a team effort. It's all about collaboration. And just to say, here's a disclosure. I am not a child psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I am just someone who has worked with teens and with their families for over 25 years and really was able to create these amazing relationships with teenagers and understand their perspective and to be able to support parents and teenagers through their high school experiences. So that's just the waiver. So let's dive in. Have you ever heard the term choose the hill you die on or choose your battles? Basically what it's asking is, what's the priority in your relationships? Well, are you a little tired of your home turning into this battlefield where there are disagreements, expectations not being met? Everyone, parents, siblings, teenagers, everyone wants and needs a safe place to fall. The place that should be home. And in this episode, I really want to talk about how to help you get closer to that safe, chill, settled space. Are you choosing all the battles? And how's that working out for you? I am no stranger to walking in from a stressful, exhausting day at work, only to find the list of chores, including getting dinner ready, emptying the dishwasher, and so on. That list is now unchecked. And my reaction would be less than helpful, less than respectful, and definitely not very effective. This is not only a parent issue. Let's talk about teenagers. You get home from school, you're exhausted. You didn't do well on a test you studied for. You got blamed for an incident you had nothing to do with. And your bestie has decided that they don't like your TikTok and the friendship is over. All you can think about is getting home, putting on some music, and hiding under the covers. You don't even care about the list. You didn't even know about the list. Enter angry parent who had a very stressful day at work, and the only thing they notice is what did not get done. They don't ask why, but they just go off, and the battle ensues. Let's look at the different aspects to consider here. How about understanding the dynamics between teenagers and the people who love them? We need to prioritize our battles. We need to look at setting boundaries and expectations and conflict resolution, just to potentially transform your relationship with your teenager. So let's start with dynamics between parents and teens. Every day, interactions at home can become potential triggers for conflict. Take, for example, curfews, chores, or the very common overuse of technology. These common triggers often lead to misunderstandings, miscommunications, and sometimes very heated arguments. But what's crucial to recognize is that these clashes are part of the normal growth process as teenagers seek independence and individuality. I honestly believe that they don't set out to piss you off. They are learning how to be themselves in the safest place they know. They can't be vulnerable out in the real world at this point, but they can experiment safely at home. They learn what it's like to use their voice, to stand up for themselves. And where parents can be a good source of support here is to come in with that perspective. And then guiding by example on how to empathize and listen and then problem solve together. I will never tell you it's easy. I will always tell you it's worth it. Establishing conducive, open communication environment is the foundation of a healthy parent-teen relationship. And when communication is open and honest and non-judgmental, it can impact the overall dynamic between parents and teenagers. This never means you have to agree on every topic. This is what becoming a unique, self-assured adult is. And how can you create such an environment? Well, let's imagine your teenager breaks curfew. Typically, our first reaction comes from fear. We don't know if they're safe, and this is totally understandable. However, just taking a moment to breathe and remember there's always a teachable moment. Kids will always see you gather yourself, and they will see the benefit of this even if it takes years for you to reap the benefits. But rather than immediately resorting to a confrontation, can you consider approaching the situation with a conversation? Can you ask an open-ended question and genuinely listen to their answer? By understanding their viewpoint, you not only address the immediate issue, but you create a platform for an open dialogue, for building mutual respect. You could say, I see you had a hard time sticking to your curfew tonight. What's up with that? You may get a shrug, or you may get a very valid answer. And the answer may make total sense and validate the broken curfew. And just by approaching it like this, there is no battle. Feel free to ask what they could have done differently, if anything, but you're looking for their input. You're not listing all of your solutions to the issue at hand. Maybe you'll see that the curfew might need to be changed based on a challenge of them having even, for instance, catching the bus on time. If we launch into a battle to start, we will never get to this part. They'll be shut down, and that doesn't help because it usually means everyone's heading to their own room, pissed off, and feeling guilty. Being proactive, you can set aside dedicated time for these conversations without distractions and without the rising emotion. You can reevaluate how things are going. Even make it a time to notice that positive things are happening. Catch them doing things really great. Make it a safe space for them to express their thoughts and feelings. And this creates an atmosphere where the teenagers feel heard and understood, and they foster a more positive relationship. All of this goes a long way in them becoming adults and their ability to communicate. A fundamental solution to these conflicts lies in the art of active listening, and empathy is key. Teens need to be heard and understood. Just like any adult, they will learn the skill from you, acknowledging their emotions and validating their experiences, even if you don't agree with them. The simple act of listening can diffuse tension, create a more conducive environment for productive discussion. Recognizing the triggers and understanding their perspective and fostering open communication can transform conflicts into opportunities for growth, not just with your relationship, but their growth as they become adults. By engaging in meaningful conversations, you build a foundation of trust and understanding, ultimately leading to a more harmonious household. Identifying critical issues that genuinely require attention and negotiation versus those that can be let go is navigating the day-to-day conflicts that arise. Not every battle is worth fighting, and understand which ones truly matter is key. This is where we choose what hill we're willing to die on. So, for example, your teenager might express a desire to dye their hair a vibrant color. And while this might trigger concerns or disagreement, it might not necessarily impact their safety, others' safety. It won't impact their well-being. It doesn't impact core values. In such cases, it could be an opportunity to let go and allow them to express their individuality. Home is a safe place to explore and discover. And if you have these reactions that don't give the teens the comfort in exploring their own individuality, they'll find other places to do it. And that's not what you want. On the other hand, issues concerning substance use, risky behavior, anything that might significantly impact their safety or someone else's safety, those battles by all means require attention and negotiation. Establishing clear boundaries and expectations here is vital to ensure their development and safety. I am a firm believer in kids do well when they can. This is a quote from my all-time favorite psychologist and author, Ross Greene, who I promise I will relentlessly preach on. And this means if there's a behavior, it's just an indication that kids are not being able to meet the expectation. And this is how they're communicating that. It could be your expectation they're not meeting, or their own, or society's. In deciding which battle you're going to choose, does the battle concern their physical or mental health? Does it challenge the ethical or moral compass? If the answer is yes, then it's a crucial issue that may require attention. However, battles that revolve around preferences, temporary disagreements, or self-expression that does not compromise well-being might be those battles you consider letting go. This doesn't mean dismissing their desires entirely, but understanding when to pick your battle and when to allow for personal expression. An effective approach involves discussing the reasons behind the expectation or concern. Understanding the rationale behind certain decisions helps teenagers comprehend the importance of certain battles while creating an environment of mutual respect. Again, collaboration is key. We're not imposing. We are collaborating our problem solving. Remember, the goal is not to control every aspect of their lives, but to guide and support as they navigate their own journey into adulthood. By focusing on battles that truly matter, you're not only promoting their safety and well-being, but you're also fostering an environment of trust and understanding. Of course, we need to be setting boundaries and expectations, but can we do it with empathy and maybe with a dash of humor? Setting a boundary and expectation is a critical part of the parent-teen relationship, and it doesn't have to be all serious and stern, and it can be done collaboratively. It's about finding the balance and maybe having a little fun in the process. Imagine a scenario where your teenager wants to push the curfew just a little further, and you can empathize and even share a personal story of a time when you were young and tried to extend your curfew and how that worked out for you with your mom or dad. This is not only to lighten the mood, but it also allows your kid to see you as a human who used to be a teenager, and maybe you have some understanding and can have some empathy around curfews. In setting boundaries, it's like putting up the guardrails on the highway. You don't want to limit the journey, but you certainly want to ensure it's a safe one. Explaining this to your teenager helps them understand the purpose behind what your expectation is. While setting your expectations and boundaries, make sure you're empathizing with their need for individuality while still adhering to the core expectations. You will have way more success and far fewer concerns if everyone has a voice and feels heard, rather than if rules are just arbitrarily imposed. Empathy will go a long way. Now let's tackle the inevitable conflicts between parents and teenagers with practical approaches and a pinch of empathy. Now let's tackle the inevitable conflicts between parents and teenagers. Diving into the art of conflict resolution, bringing peace to the battleground of disagreements. Picture this. You and your teenager have a difference of opinion on something very significant, like an academic choice or a responsibility at home. Conflicts arise, but the way we resolve them is how we're going to make all the difference. Not just for now, but for the long haul. Remember, this is a long game. Parenting is a long game. It's not to get to Saturday. This is a lifelong lesson. When tensions flare, it's essential to have a toolkit of de-escalation techniques. Sometimes timeout just isn't for kids. It can work wonders for adults, and stepping back momentarily to cool off, to prevent a disagreement into turning into a full-blown argument is so helpful. And it gives them these tools. Even if they don't use it right away, they will see you using it and the effect it has. Empathizing with your teen's emotions can work like a charm. Imagine their frustration as a bad Wi-Fi signal. It's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Acknowledging their feelings and finding common ground, like commiserating over a shared dislike, lightens the mood and helps in finding a resolution. Effective communication is the secret sauce in resolving conflicts peacefully. Active communication is the unsung hero. It allows both parties to feel heard and understood, and instead of talking over each other, take turns. It's like passing the salt at the dinner table. Remember, conflicts aren't about winning or losing. They're about finding common ground. It's not about having power over anyone. This, again, is a long haul. You don't want to raise an adult who feels like they have power over somebody else. You want to always have power with. This is so empowering. When conflicts are resolved with this in mind, everyone feels like part of the solution, and no one walks away feeling like they have sacrificed their integrity or self-esteem. Transformation isn't immediate. It's about making small shifts in how we communicate and relate. And our call to action is to practice this empathy and understanding daily. Foster an environment where everybody feels valued and heard. Let's continue to embark on this ongoing journey of transformation together, where we can redefine the dynamics between parents and teenagers and create spaces of mutual respect and understanding. Thank you for listening to Teen Minds Redefined. I welcome you to DM me if you have any questions, if you have any transformative insight from what we talked about today. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, downloading, reviewing, and rating this. It gets into the ears of the people who need to hear it. See you next week.
Teen Minds Redefined with Cheryl Pankhurst. New episodes out every Wednesday. Thanks for stopping by.